The screen is black. Eerie, low music plays, accompanied by a distant sound of a door creaking open. The screen flashes to the words "like, share, subscribe" in bold red text. The music grows louder and more intense as the words fade into the dark background, giving a chilling effect. What happens when a child is left at the mercy of a monster? The horrifying case of Sylvia Likens. The screen fades from black to a picture of Sylvia Likens, a smiling young girl with long brown hair. The camera slowly zooms in on her face, contrasting with the dark tone of the story. Sylvia Likens was a 16-year-old girl, full of life and full of hope. She had a loving family, her parents, Lester and Betty Likens, and her younger sister, Jenny. But everything changed in 1965. Cut to a photo of Sylvia with her sister Jenny. The music remains tense. Sylvia's story would end tragically, and her death would become one of the most disturbing cases of child abuse in American history. Cut to a shot of a quiet, modest suburban house in Indianapolis. It's an ordinary home, but the dark atmosphere suggests something sinister is lurking. Sylvia and Jenny were sent to live with a woman named Gertrude Banaszewski. Their parents, who were traveling carnival workers, made this difficult decision, trusting Gertrude to care for their daughters while they worked. Cut to a photo of Gertrude Banaszewski, a middle-aged woman with a stern expression. Gertrude Banaszewski, a mother of 7 children, seemed like an ordinary woman at first glance. But behind closed doors, she was hiding a terrifying secret. Cut to an ominous reenactment of Sylvia and Jenny being dropped off at Gertrude's home, the car driving away slowly. Sylvia's face is uneasy, a sense of dread hanging in the air. What seemed like a simple stay soon turned into a nightmare. Gertrude, frustrated with her own life, began to show a cruel side. Sylvia and Jenny became her targets. The camera pans to the interior of the house, dark and unwelcoming. The abuse started small at first, verbal insults, forced labor. But soon, it escalated into something far more sinister. Gertrude began calling Sylvia names like slut and whore. She would humiliate her in front of others, making Sylvia do degrading acts, often punishing her for the smallest things. But it wasn't just Gertrude. Her children, along with neighborhood kids, joined in, taking pleasure in Sylvia's pain. The abuse was no longer just physical, it became a twisted form of entertainment for them. Sylvia's torment grew worse every day. She was beaten, starved, and locked in the basement. Her body became a canvas for abuse. Bruises, burns, and cuts marked her once vibrant skin. The most disturbing part? Sylvia was made to take the blame for everything. She was accused of things she didn't do and was punished for being the scapegoat in Gertrude's twisted world. As days turned into weeks, Sylvia's physical and emotional state deteriorated. She was no longer the bright, bubbly teenager she once was. Her body was broken, and her spirit was crushed. But despite the visible signs of torture, Gertrude Banaszewski continued her reign of terror. She even encouraged others to harm Sylvia, pushing them further into depravity. In the final weeks of Sylvia's life, her abuse intensified. She was burned with cigarettes, beaten with objects, and forced to endure unimaginable pain. The other children, some as young as 8 years old, joined in. They slapped, kicked, and even forced Sylvia to eat food from the trash. But the worst was yet to come. Sylvia's body was beginning to shut down. She couldn't take the abuse anymore. She was near death, but Gertrude didn't care. Instead of seeking help, Gertrude told everyone that Sylvia had run away. On October 26, 1965, Sylvia Likens succumbed to the torture. She was just 16 years old. It wasn't until neighbors grew suspicious of Sylvia's condition and alerted the authorities that the true horror of her death began to unfold. When the police arrived, they found Sylvia's body in a horrible state, bruised, burned, and covered in sores. It was clear that this was no accident. Sylvia had been murdered. Gertrude Banaszewski was arrested, along with her children and other accomplices. The details of what had happened to Sylvia were beyond comprehension. The level of cruelty displayed by Gertrude and her children was horrifying. The trial was one of the most harrowing cases of child abuse in history. But the most unsettling part, Gertrude showed no remorse. She denied everything, blaming others for Sylvia's death. The case shocked the nation, but even more so, was the revelation that Gertrude's children and others were complicit in the abuse. Some received lesser charges, while others were given lighter sentences. The Likens family was left to mourn a daughter who had been taken from them in the most brutal way imaginable. Sylvia's death would haunt those involved for the rest of their lives. Sylvia Likens may have been taken from this world far too soon, but her story continues to be a reminder of the darkness that can exist behind closed doors. Her legacy lives on, helping to bring awareness to the horrors of child abuse. Her death led to changes in the way child abuse cases are handled. The Sylvia Likens case became a national symbol of the need to protect vulnerable children from those who would harm them. Her story, though tragic, is a powerful reminder of the importance of kindness, vigilance, and the fight for justice for those who cannot defend themselves. Thank you for listening to Sylvia's story. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories that must never be forgotten. Subscribe for more true crime stories.